Anitaadefuye. I am an author, a career coach. I am survivor of sexual violence. I am a blogger, a YouTuber, obviously. And yeah, those are just some of the few things that I do. And I create content along all of those different areas. But today I want to, first of all, Happy New Month. I hope that this month of October brings in, many good things for you. I pray that your heart desires are met. And I pray that your expectations that you have for things you want to see happen in your life in this month come to pass. So now that we have our happy new months out of the way, there are many reasons I'm excited for October. It is International Day of the Girl Child, and it also happens that my own girl child, it's her birthday this month, so that's exciting. It's Thanksgiving here in Canada, so there are many things really to be thankful about and to be grateful for. Plus, it's also the beginning of the last quarter of this year, so y'all that have goals and you have them written down, go, 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 go. However, if it feels like you're not meeting those goals, don't sweat about it. Just go back to your drawing table, figure out what needs to change, what you probably need to move over to next year, or what you need to just change something. But anyway, so there are many reasons I'm excited for this month, and there's a few of them. Well, so for today, I'm going to be wearing more of my career coach hat today, and I want to talk about 10 things that you can negotiate for in a job offer. And that's besides money. So technically 11 things, money being the obvious one. And sometimes people get fixated on just the money bits. Yeah, that's another thing I should tell you. It's been a pain trying to stay consistent with YouTube, family, church, work, business, authoring, and all of that. So now I don't edit my video. So what you see is what you get. The best I do is try to dress up nice, look good when I can. And when I can't, well, you're going to take me as I am. Sorry. And then I play a lot. Anyway, where was I? 10 things to negotiate for in a job. The one thing people get fixated on most times is the pay itself. But there are other things that you can negotiate so that at the end of the day, whether or not the pay is what you're expecting, these are some things to really think about to guide you. Maybe there will be a bonus one that I didn't have on my list, but I just realized is very, very important. Or two things, really. Well, one, and I'll split that and quickly talk about that, and that's value. How that job aligns with your values and the kind of culture you're looking for in your workplace. And what do I mean by that? For many of my career coaching clients, one thing I teach them and I always emphasize is have personal values, and whatever job you're taking needs to be in alignment to your values. Why? Because whether or not you feel fulfilled on your job or not really comes from how well it aligns with what's going on inside of you. Many of us think that we're impacted by what's going on the outside, but oftentimes what we see on the outside, the conflicts, the issues, are really just an indication that there's a direct conflict between what we believe and what we're experiencing. And when that happens, it creates a sense of unfulfillment. It creates a sense of need, and it creates a sense of like there's this huge gap that we cannot feel, and yeah, you might not be able to feel. And so it's important that if that job aligns to your values, if it aligns to the kind of work culture that you're looking for, then by all means, let that be part of the consideration that you make. So that's the bonus points. Yeah, we start with the bonus. So now, to the 10 things, and I'm going to run through them very quickly. And I have my cheat sheet here. So number one, vacation hours. All right, so some companies will tell you, yeah, they have their set policies on what vacation is, and some of them live and die by those rules, and that's okay. However, there are some companies that, especially if, and I'll give you an example. So let's say you have a 5-week vacation where you were before, and then this company is offering 3 weeks vacation. You can negotiate, along those lines, especially if they're not giving you the kind of salary that you're looking for. You can negotiate along those lines to say, you know what, here's what I already have, here's what I'm used to. Can we maybe talk about are you willing to provide some concession around my vacation hours instead? And if you don't know, if you don't ask, you'll never know if they'll agree to it or not. Okay, and that applies to any of the 10 things we're going to be talking about. So vacation hours is something that you can try to negotiate, so think about that and know what's acceptable or not for you. The second thing is training and professional development. I have had the opportunity to be trained on project management trainings. I've had the opportunity to have, you know, will be having change management training. There are some professional courses that I've had to do, not on my own bill, but on company's bill. And not all of them were negotiated at the start. However, any interview I attend, if I'm really thinking about taking that job, one question I always ask the hiring manager is, what is your training policy? That's a question you should always ask. What is your training policy, or how much budget do you allocate to training? That gives you an indication of how committed that organization is to continuous learning of their employees. And if they don't even have anything set aside, or it's not part of their planning at all, that gives an indication that if you go and ask for a $6,000 training, very high chance you're not going to get it. But if they say they're committed to training, it's something you can negotiate, especially if you have very specific kind of training you're looking to do, maybe a master's, a PhD. But bear in mind that it has to be in alignment. I mean, no organization will pay training for you that isn't in alignment with their own objectives and goals. So training and development is something that you can ask about, negotiate into your job offer before you accept. Performance pay. Now, this might not apply to every organization, or the degree to which it applies might differ from organization to organization. Chances are, if you're like me and you're in public service, you only have to be in certain kinds of positions to get performance pay, and it's not even exactly really high up there. But anyway, private organizations tend to do better with those and usually have wider range. However, that's something you can still have a conversation with. Again, if you understand what the organization is already, what they already have in place, then it's easier to negotiate coming from a place of knowledge as opposed to you just shooting blanks. And maybe I'll do another video to talk about how you can figure out what organizations have or do not have to position yourself better in negotiation. So performance pay, you can, then again, they might have a range, or it might be something that they can say, okay, in the first year this is what you have. Or when you're doing your performance reviews, it gives you an opportunity to negotiate for what you can get based on what your how well you met your set out goals at the start of the year versus what you've been able to accomplish at the time. The fourth thing is flexibility, and this can take on different forms, either hybrid work, working from home, start and close time. Those are things that you can negotiate. I True confession, I can be very tardy. All right, I can be very tardy, and I won't even lie. I can't even lie. Okay. I try to put systems in place to help me show up early. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. I'm still a work in progress, because we all are, so don't judge me. But one of the things that I've not learned to do is negotiate start times. So chances are that wherever I work, I'm not showing up earlier than 8:30, and that's a thing. I am not showing up earlier than 8:30. There are the one-off moments when something comes up, there's a meeting, I have to be there early. I can work towards that, and I will work towards that, and I do that. But chances are I'm not showing up earlier than 8:30. In fact, now I'm thinking, I think even 8:30 ain't working no more. Let's try for 9 a.m. Not because I just don't want to show up, but because with kids schedule and all of that, it's not exactly been the best. It's not been the easiest. I have little kids who are still very dependent on parents. I don't have like really grown up kids that can go about their own thing at their own time. So factoring that in, I often would say, hey, when is your start time? Because if you are drop dead, everybody has to be there by 8 a.m. I am not your employee. So moving on. All right. So start time can also be part of that flexibility. Close time can also be part of that flexibility. And I find that most companies usually are generally very, especially if you're not in a client facing position, they're generally very, very accommodating. I've always been blessed to have very accommodating bosses in that regard. So number 5, retirement savings matching or tax-free savings matching, TFSA. And I'll probably throw, no, I won't throw it in. Retirement savings matching. Okay, so there are some organizations, if not all, I don't know if it's all, but most organizations typically would say, here's how much you can put towards your retirement savings plan. Some of them might do tax-free savings and then they match whatever you do. So that's money you're leaving on the table if you don't have that or negotiate that. So if the pay you're looking to get isn't what they're offering, but then it's a great company, it aligns with your values, they're agreeing to the kind of start times you want, maybe you want to work from home some days of the week, and they're open to that, then maybe that's something you can consider negotiating on. Retirement savings plans. Yeah, I'll actually add it in. And sometimes too, like just insurance benefits as well. Okay. There are some organizations that have some room to increase what they offer. So let's say they offer 80% coverage on health, on medication and all that. They might have room within their plan to extend that to say 100%, but they might not have room to extend, maybe say disability insurance, right? Should you get disabled, God forbid, I hear you say it, amen. But so those are some things that you can try to negotiate on to say, okay, can you increase my matching, right? I want to, but oftentimes they require you to also increase your matching, but then it means that you have more money for the future, right? So if they do say 6% and then they match at 6%, you can now say, what, increase my RSP to 8%, and are you willing to match that for me at 8%, even though you're saying you offer 6% matching for all employees? So that's something to also consider. And if it's TFSA, they do, same rule applies, but that's something you can definitely negotiate as well. Stock options. Again, this might not be something that applies to most public service organizations. However, in private sectors, this can be very typical where they give you stock options, and that's something that you can negotiate to say, hey, can I have some stock options that as the company makes money, I have some stock allocated to me. And the good thing is that as they make money, it's yours. And when you're leaving, it's yours to keep as well. So that's something to consider. So number 7, relocation allowance. There are some companies that you might need to take a job in a different city, and they might tell you right off the bat, oh, we don't offer relocation allowance. However, you are the right fees. They want to give you you love them, you love everything, but maybe the salary is not what you're expecting. Maybe it is even, but you want more. Then you can try to say, you know what, I know you mentioned you don't do relocation, but is that something you'd be willing to consider because of that's whatever that's might be for you. All right, so that's something you can negotiate. Yeah, you see my cheat sheet. All right, so number 8, benefits. If you're working downtown, you will understand this one. So parking benefits. Some companies might agree to do 50-50 with you. Some companies might say, you know what's okay, we'll pay for your parking, and that's fine. Just come take your, parking target thing and hang it up in your car. If you work in downtown areas where parking is hard to find, and when you do find them, they're pretty expensive, that's something that you can maybe negotiate on to say, hey, I'd love to, but by the time I throw in things like parking, then it really just, brings down my salary to less than what I'm expecting to go home with at the end of the day. And so is that something that you'd be willing to take off of me? And there are organizations who actually do pay parking for their employees. And if they don't, it's something you can put forward. They might not even have thought about it as something to throw in as an additional perk for employees. Finding the right talent is hard these days. So this is a good time to do negotiations, guys, because a lot of organizations are looking for really good people. Yes, there seems to be more job than people, but there's also very poor quality within the pool of people that are available. So if you're able to distinguish yourself with the kind of value that you add, and you have an opportunity put before you say yes and sign those dotted lines, do your best to negotiate. And there's nothing that says you have to negotiate only one of this. You can negotiate all of this, actually. Yep. Yes, you can. Be bold about it. All right. So, number 9, job title change. Now, this is important if you're someone like me who is looking to, who likes to advance. Let me put it that way. Yeah, you like to advance. You have a specific goal of where you're going, and you know what you need to take to get there. You know the kinds of job titles you need to have to get there. Now, and I've seen this happen. I've had a colleague who was able to successfully negotiate this. I have never had a job that I need to negotiate titles for. I've always just, loved the titles that I have and always just gone for the titles that I needed, or the titles at least align within my field to what I'm looking for per time, right? But you can choose to negotiate your job title change, right? So for instance, if you realize that, okay, my title says manager, but then the work I'm doing really does in other places align, do your research, put up your backup, and then present a case to say, hey, would you be willing to change this title from manager to director? Because in similar organizations, people doing the exact same thing, or maybe even less, go with the title of director. Or my colleagues, my counterparts, when I show up at meetings who do the exact same thing as I do, carry the title director, and it makes it look as if, it might make it look as if I'm less than in that sense, and not say that you're less, and that's a lack of a better word. But that's something that you can present and negotiate on, and it gives you a better title. The thing about titles is that it tends to position you better for the next thing you're looking for. Now, I'll give you an example. Let's say you're a manager who manages 100 people, right? In your work, and the kind of work you do, really, even some people with the title director don't do half of those things. But then you know that within that role, you're very well positioned to be an executive director. You might apply to some places and they'll tell you, oh, you've only just been a manager, you've never been a director. And that starts to impact you. But you know that you've been able to do the job. Yes, there's the place of resume and doing all of that and selling your story, right? There is that place, right? And that's a thing too. But there's also the place where that conversation becomes a lot easier when you just even have the title director in place. So title change is something that you can negotiate. Number 10, finally, flex spending or health spending, whatever they call it, right? So I get a certain amount every year in my workplace that I can spend towards anything specific to health improvement. So whether it be mental health, so there are specific types of massage that I like, and it's not covered, I will use my health spending towards that. There are some additional things that I might choose to take on professional development wise, and I can take that. So there's some companies might already have health spending or flex spending. If it's flex spending, it means you can use it for whatever the heck you want, and that's up to you. If it's health spending, there might be some parameters around which what makes that determines what qualifies to be in there. And so when you know what that is, you can take that to you can negotiate that and say, hey, you know what, can I just get an additional money every year that I use towards XYZ, and whatever they want to call it. Some organizations already have that, others don't. But again, you negotiate and you can say you have health spending kind of have increased, just give me a little more flexibility around, especially in a case where maybe health insurances are not 100% coverage. You can say, okay, that would at least help make up for some of those. So you begin to see how you can tie in some of these things. Again, money is not the only thing, because if you look at just the money, here's the problem. In Canada, the more money you earn, the more your tax bracket also increases, and the more you get taxed. Sometimes some people think, oh, I'm excited, I've hit that 6-figure, or I've hit 7-figure, or whatever. And then you get to you get your paycheck and it's like, wait, what happened? In fact, some cases you're not careful, there might even be less money than before, right? And it messes up with people's minds. Okay, so yes, consider the finances. Absolutely, we all want more money, but beyond the money, these 10 things plus, does it align with my values? You don't want to be in a place that creates constant conflicts in your heart. Does it align with my values? Is the culture great? Is it something that I would love to be there? And you're not waking up dreading to go every single day. And if the answers are yes, then look at these 10 things and say, okay, they're not willing to bulge on the money piece, but what else can I negotiate and it will make me happy? So I hope this helps someone. Those are the things. And if you're looking for additional help on how to negotiate salaries, or you have a job offer before you can negotiate, feel free to click the link below. Send me an email. I'll drop all of those details there, so you can reach out and we can talk about how I can help you position yourself for those, or just go over what you have and what you're looking to negotiate, and sometimes just what to say. And sometimes not just what to say, but what to say when they come back with what you don't want to hear. All right. And for some of us, it's that we just need that mindset shift to help us realize that we do have the value that to realize the value that we carry, and how to sell that in the place of negotiation. You've gotten the job, they recognize you have value, but can you also still sell that value enough to get what you want and make sure that you're not leaving any money on the table? So I hope this helps someone. Like the video, comments. Tell me how it helps you, which one resonates the most with you, which one you're going to do or put into practice, which ones you've always successfully, negotiated for. And I'd love to hear all of that, and others can learn from that too. Things you do, how you do it. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I will see you all in my next video, whatever title that takes. In the meantime, have a good Sunday and have a great week ahead. Bye. Okay.